Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much. And again, thanks for the opportunity to the Federation. This is workshop 3 of 3 from me to cover 10 tips in progressing to advanced. We have actually done 7 of the tips, and using our mathematical skills, that means there are 3 left. I know there will be some more workshops in the next 2 weeks, and maybe at the end of this talk, Brendan, you might like to tell us what those 2 weeks might be about, or maybe just tempt us in some way.
Sure.
If that's okay. So looking at the tips this evening, we're just going to look at a couple of factors influencing take decisions. So we're looking at some cubes. We're going to look at some checker plays, which a lot of us feel we just make automatically. And then we're just going to recap on what resources are available if you want to improve your game. And that's probably just where we might share with each other what we think the resources are, so that we can all make sure we avail of them. Okay, so take pass decisions and some relevant factors. So here's the position. All these positions I think are 0-0 to 11. And in this position, the pip count is level. So black is on roll. Anyone doubling? Can I say at this stage, you have a 50% chance of being right. So if that's just to encourage some responses. So pip count is a level, but white
based on your last lecture, Sean, you should double because well, there's a good chance your opponent might drop, and you'll get a good you'll be in a good position even if you don't do anything major, but you could do a lot of major stuff in this roll. So I would double.
We have a doubler?
Double take.
Okay, so we've got 2 answers there. So we'll move on to the second one. If you're doubled, who's take? How many? Just say take or shout take or pass, and we'll just gauge what the majority feel.
Take.
Okay, a lot of takes.
Takes, yeah, take.
Take.
Okay, so I guess if we look at the position, white's on the bar, pip count is level, black is a lot of checkers in the zone. Okay. So a lot of takes. Same position for black. Well, if you were doubling the first one, I presume you're doubling this one. Now white's board is a little bit worse. So we look at the first one. Same pip count is level. So you're doubling this. So
sorry, Sean, did you say the last one was a take, or did you make a decision yet? Did you tell us
I
yet?
didn't make any decision.
Okay, okay.
So you're doubling this as black, and now you're white. Any views?
Has black doubled to me?
Black has doubled you.
I think if I were to answer honestly, I'd be focusing a lot more on black's threats to me as white. And to be perfectly honest, I would be paying less attention to my own setup as white, which is obviously kind of only half the picture, but I think if I were to be honest, that's where my focus would be.
Yeah, I think the first one isn't a double because the race is even and you're also heavily outboarded. Whereas now that white's board is a lot weaker, I would think it's more likely to be a double.
Thank you. Any takes in this position? Any passes in this position? If doubled, if you are being doubled.
I think I'm probably wrong, but I'd probably take it.
Okay. So we go back to the first position. The race will be important and the race is level. But black is the one with the threats. White's on the bar. So 10% of the time, white's going to dance. So, you know, black does have a decided advantage. And I think, as Brendan said, double it anyway, because you get lots of passes. It's only a small double. I was a bit surprised with that. It's only a small double. Now, if it's only a small double, it's a pretty big take. And I think a lot of white's chance comes from the strength of his home board. So let's give black a good roll, 4-2. So black makes the 4 point. White comes in. That's, not going to be too surprising. But then black's not going to be hitting loose. Looking at that board, if you were black, you'd be a little bit scared to hit loose. Now, you might hit loose, but you'd be pretty scared. So I think white taking this sort of goes, if I get one chance, I'm probably going to win. Certainly having access to the cube with that board, you could possibly win by just hitting black. That the strength of your board is the decisive factor. It's much harder for black to win here. So again, we'll give black the good. We'll give white the good. Yeah, we'll give black the good outcome of 4-2, which is normal. White comes in, but if white gets the lucky shot or the good shot, it sort of looks about level to me. It's almost looked level to me at that point. White certainly isn't going to have a recube. Like, let's say black has to play a 6-5 and leave a shot. White hits the shot. Black's on the bar. But that game now feels almost level. So I think the strength of the home board actually turns it into a pass. So I think it's a good example. Now, as Jamie says, we do tend to focus on what's happening on one side of the board. But I think if you try to visualize how this game pans out, where does white get his wins from? A lot of them will be probably you hit black, but after that, you're a long way from winning the game. So I think that home board point is pretty important. Any comments on that? And does that sort of make a bit of sense to people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's that point that when white comes good, he's got a long. He's got a lot of winning of the game to do, and certainly black with that board will be very much more inclined to hit loose. And I think you'd be right with that home board. So we roll on to this one. Nobody's on the bar, so that's a fairly big change. Pip count is level. Black. Anyone doubling? Level pip count.
Yeah, I'd double that.
I'll double that too, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
It's
I think it's an interesting one. I think over the board, a lot of people wouldn't double, but it is a double. And I suppose you're trying to, black's on roll, that gives black an advantage. So you've got a couple of killer numbers, 6-1, 3-3, 6-6. I suppose 2-1 or 1-1, 6-1, yeah, 6-1. 6-6, 3-3. So that's 4 great ones. I suppose 1-1 is good too. 5. And if white jumps out, you're going to get the shot. So
Question I've got on this,
that
I always
together,
think this-
that's enough. That's enough for the double. So you're after being doubled now. Are you taking?
yeah.
I think it passed.
One
that.
take.
I think I'd take it.
Okay.
I would pass this one.
I would too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take.
Pass.
I'd take this.
Take some passes. The double, I think you've got enough advantages for the double, guys, and it's important to see the double. As I say, you're on roll and the race is level. At 100 pips, 110 pips, that probably makes you 57% favorite with no contact. So you're favorite on the race because you have the roll. You know, 6-1, double 6, double 3, double 1 looks, he's going to pass after double 1. And then you've got the nice rolls like double 5, double 4. And the ones where he pops out, you get the shot if he doesn't roll 6-5. So that feels enough to double. Okay. And we're some takes and some passes. So same position for black. Are the takers still taking here? Pip count is level.
No, I wouldn't take this.
It's a better spread on a blackboard. No, it's hard to take that one though. On a home board of the black, it's better spread there.
And this one is a pass. So it's a double. So the first one is double take. And it's a fairly easy take. And this is double pass. So I think it is one of the features of takes that it really is worth looking more closely at in certain positions, not in every position, but in some positions where you're relying as white in this case on a good thing happening. You know, part of your equity is coming from a shot. In that case, if you hit the shot, you might want to win a lot of the games very quickly, and you might even want to claim those wins with the cube. Like in that position, if white hits the shot, like let's give black the bad 6-5, the worst, one of the worst rolls, and white rolls the 1. It wouldn't be clear to me who's winning. And I think, you know, when you're white trying to calculate where are my wins coming from, make sure when you figure out the scenarios where you hit the lucky shot, you factor in exactly how many of those games you're going to win. Because I think very often people say, I have a good chance of hitting the shot, and then I'm okay. Whereas in this sort of scenario, you're not at all okay. So you maybe only need to count half of some of those scenarios, and that turns the positions into a pass from what was it? The first position was an easy take, and this is now a pass. So look, one of the factors in takes is just making sure that you consider your own home board. And I think it's probably an area where people, Jamie, I think you said it the first time, you can often get focused on what is your opponent doing on their side of the board. You generally have a checker in trouble. And you get very focused on that, and you try to figure out your opponent's, the way your opponent will win. But the way you will win, when something comes good, you better make sure when you're adding up those wins that they're actually wins, and your home board will guide you to that. So that's just one area of takes that I think it's worth factoring in just a little bit more.
Sean, can I ask a question, please?
Please, Danny, absolutely.
The one that I remember reading about years ago was Pratt, Precision, Race and Threat.
Yeah.
Now, I've always wondered if I've got this wrong on it, but if you've got 2 out of the 3, generally, would that be normally a double?
Yeah. And if you've got 1, it's a take. But when you talk to people and ask them, what does in position, race and threat, everyone understands race.
Yeah.
Very few people, and I don't understand, what does position mean? And I think with position, you have to factor in a large number of factors. And one of them is that your home board. That is just one of the features of the position. But when you, I think position, race, and threat, Danny, is a very shorthand way of saying something. But if someone said to me, well, if you have a decent position you would take, I struggle to really understand it. Does that mean my opponent might be a bit blocked in? Does that mean I might have a very good structure? You know, I'm just not exactly sure what it means. So I don't use position, race, and threat too much because I don't really understand it. I think part of position, race, and threat around position, which I find is most relevant, is when you turn the game around in the 25% of the scenarios where the good thing happens, are you really winning? And in trying to factor that, you know, I'm very interested in features like my home board. You know, how many checkers have I got behind, etc., or am I blocked in? So I think there's a lot going on, and I thought about including position, race, and threat here, but I wasn't able to explain position, so I didn't.
Well, position, Sean, might factor in gammon chances for or against.
Absolutely. And look, I give a list of things you could think about just coming up. But I think take decisions are some of the hardest decisions because there are so many things to factor in. And actually, one of the things I didn't put on the list of things to factor in is emotion. And what you need to do in takes is factor out emotion, because very often a bad thing has happened to you and the cube is in your face 3 seconds later, and the emotional reaction will damage your logical reaction. So guys, just one more position, and we're just going to take a little bit of time on this one. Blacks on roll. So can we list, just guys, and shout them out? Black is on roll. What are blacks? What are the good things about black's position?
Race
Can
lead.
I say
So the
race?
race, blacks are well ahead in the race, 20 pips.
Good home
So-
board.
Black has 4 points made. That's pretty good.
A
Right,
pretty
and
decent
Trevor
chance
makes
of
5
making
point.
5.
Yeah, he's got chances. He's got some checkers to make it a better home board.
Easy way out of the 24th
Well,
point.
He has, I wouldn't say his checker on the 24 is an advantage. He has a way out, but well, he's behind a decent structure, I think. So I wouldn't list, if he had no checker on the 24, I'd say it was an advantage. So possibly that's not an advantage.
Sean, if you look at position, race, threat, I don't use it. It's black has all of them. Good position, threat of closing black out, 12 checkers in the zone. It's more or less over. I wouldn't take this as white.
Okay, so what has white got?
5 point.
Yeah, I think white has a good structure. I'm going to say what I would see as white's advantages are a good structure. Now, I'm not trying to guide the witness here because you have to weigh these things up. White's a good structure. Black has got 1 checker behind the structure, and the open 5 point is something. So
most of white's black's good rolls involve a 6.
yeah, it's like certainly 6-1, 6-3, making the 5 point, and 6-4, 6-5, you run it out of there, etc.
So if black doesn't roll a 6, then that's reasonably good for white.
Yeah, white would like to come in, certainly. Now, just forgetting gammons and things, how many games do you think white wins? Now, white's in trouble, right? Like white's 20 pips behind, white's on the bar, all these things are going on.
Who's on roll?
Black's unroll. Black's doubling this, right? Black's Black's well ahead here. So black is doubling this.
Maybe 1 out of 10
20%?
white would win.
So what percentage did I hear?
20?
20. I had a 20. So you're certainly passing if you've got 20%. Yeah. Any more percentage guesses?
I
I'd say
think white is about 25%.
25. Yeah.
I would say 10% of the white winnings.
I'd say nearer 30.
30.
High 20s, 30.
By 20.
Yeah, 25 maybe, but the gammon is high here.
So white wins 30%. Okay. So white wins a lot of games. So is that, are we taking?
No.
No.
I
No.
Gammon
I would
is just
take-
too much.
Sorry, Kevin.
It's a 4-point loss gammon.
Well, the way I look at it, Sean, is white's 50-50 to get in to start with. And black is going to point on him no matter what. And he's got, what, 5, 7 checkers, 8 checkers out. I think the gammon rate for me was just too high to take this.
But black doesn't have many spare checkers. So if he does hit, he might well have to hit loose. if you
Sure.
come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
But
there's a lot of return shots.
he's 12 checkers in the zone. White's home board is nothing to worry about at the moment.
At 0-all, I would take this.
Maybe, but I'm a bit, I've lost so many like this that
I lost a lot of games like that.
I must say,
I'd be expecting black to make the 5-point on his next roll.
Well,
And then
I'm
if
not
you're white,
expecting. I wouldn't be expecting Black to make the 5-point on his X roll. He only makes it with 6-1, 6-3, 3-1, 3-3. That's 7 rolls. So 29 rolls, he doesn't make. Oh, and 4-4. So 28 rolls, he doesn't make the 5-point. So I wouldn't be expecting Black to make the 5-point, right?
But even white goes into the 5-point. The black has all chances to remove back to the where he is right now.
Very true.
So and then another chances to cover. So after 2 moves, black probably will have that 5-point covered anyway.
Yeah,
And then white is total gammon. So it's
yeah, White
definitely
has to
not
get in
take
first.
from my
And White
yeah.
Right, White has to get in. That's the point.
But there's
What
other
if he doesn't get
scenarios where white comes in on the 2-point and then black can't hit him and white can use all those builders to make a prime. You know, there's a lot of good stuff. And
I think this one.
What if he rolls 2-6? What happens then?
We won't, okay, because I know there's good individual roles. I think we've sort of got this position, and well done, guys, because it's one that I tend to get wrong a lot. Is when white has very good winning chances, you can be seduced by the winning chances, because 30% is a lot. And it can feel quite like a take. But in fact, it's a big pass it's because of the gammons. Like if you win 30% and gammons don't count, that's plenty. Like that's an easy take, 70-30 is an easy take. But the gammons change it around completely. And a rule of thumb and how to adjust for the gammons, and let me just, I'll try to move on here if I can. Whoops. Let me see if I can go down. Resume, okay. So there it's a big pass, 70-30. Black's getting 30% gammons out of his 70%. And to try to adjust for the gammons, you look at how many gammons does your opponent get, and you look at how many do you get. Take the difference and take half of it. So if he gets 20% more gammons than you, you should reduce your winning chances by 10%. So in a position where you think you're winning 25 or 30%, you actually should reduce your chances down to 15 to 20. So, and once you know, oh, I'm only winning 15 to 20 effectively, now you know it's a pass. So in those positions, and I think, Kevin, you really put your finger on it a fair bit. Like, there's a lot of gammons, and I've had these positions before. Yeah, I think we've all been there. I think it's that factoring in the gammons. Like, you could be dropping positions where your winning chances are 30, 35%, just because of the gammons that your opponent gets. And it can be hard to drop them because you can feel in your heart, I have a lot of winning chances here. But to allow for the gammons, make a stab at what your opponent is getting. It might be 30%. Make a stab at what you're getting, might be 10%. That's a 20% difference. In that case, reduce your winning chances by 10%. And so that adjustment factor will, I think, put you in the right place. And I think trying to allow for those gammons is that's certainly one of my biggest weaknesses, where certainly if I'm winning a lot of matches, winning a lot of games, I feel I'm in the game and I don't factor the gammon chances enough. So I think that's probably number 2. And really that's it on takes, because I think they're the 2 areas that people don't factor in enough. But there's lots of factors. I've got the race there, I've got the match score, gammon potential we discussed, home board we discussed. If you've got lots lying about, you know, you dance once and you're dead, it could be a problem. You look at priming structures and you look at your turnaround value, you know, that if I turn it around, do I win quickly? That can be very important. If I like, you don't want to turn it around and get an even game, you know. So look, there's lots more, but they were just the factors I wanted to pull out on takes, fellas. Or just, I think they're the 2 areas that people, in my experience, don't factor in enough. So any particular questions on that before we move on to the next just tip? But look, it's just to share our experience on those 2, no more, no less. Your home board and gammon potential, I think, are pretty crucial.
So, and a big mistake that I make is I look at my own home board and I see, great, I've got a fantastic board here now if I get a hit. And I never get to roll again. I take the cube and I just get blasted out of it. Sometimes the strength of my home board is completely irrelevant. I weigh it up as being valuable, and it's actually a big source of error for me.
That's interesting. Absolutely. Like and sometimes your home board doesn't really matter. Like it's where it's going to matter that you factor it in. You know, I think that's, you know, where you're relying on a shot and you've good chance of a shot, and you could just see, well, if I hit the shot, it'll be grand. Well, it's not grand if your home board isn't good, and you must reduce it by that. I think a lot of our getting takes right really does depend on experience and having been through the mill a fair bit on them. Like, you can't go through these factors and attach a weight to them, and then if you do a calculation, you'll get it all right. It's not like that. I think this is an area where lots of people make lots of mistakes. And just to go back then to last week's talk, that's why you double. You double lots of positions because people get them badly wrong. Okay. We're going to have a look at some checker plays. And this is, you know, our checker play is automatic, you know, and so this is adjusting checker play in the opening. So how does anyone play 2-1? If you roll 2-1, how do you play it? Do you slot or split?
There is depends on the score. And you might slot and you might
split. 11.
Okay, it depends how you want to start. Maybe you want to do the blitz. The blitz way, it's 13 to 11 and then 6-5. That's your blitz chances, but
But 0-all.
at the beginning, yeah, it's a good start of the match.
There's no,
even
there
at
isn't a
this-
particularly right answer. It's just really, what do you do? Yeah. So you might slot, Andre.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
are-
think I
yeah.
ever slotted.
Right. Anyone?
24, 23.
Yeah, split. Yeah. They're both the same, but they're both equally good. So
So
they're
if I-
identical. So there's no right answer. It's just a matter of style. Okay, so they're the same. You know, there's no difference in equity.
if I were playing my sister, I'd play 6-5. If I were playing Sean Casey, I'd play 24-23.
And your sister must be a very good player then.
And what happens if you play the cracker?
Oh, listen, play the cracker, you have a point. Now, instead of having the opening roll, Black has the opening roll, and Black has rolled 4-2. Okay, Black's rolled 4-2, and we know what Black does with 4-2. Now you're White, and you get 2-1 again.
Dawn, sorry, I just wanted to ask a question about the opening on 2-1.
Yeah.
I wrote a Kahoot quiz a little while back and ran the analysis, and it was in a 1-point match. I did it to make things easier, and the correct play is supposedly on a 1-point match is the drop down 13, 11, 6-5 according to XG. Am I getting it wrong somehow?
No, that sounds fine to me. Like I think plays, both plays are pretty much identical from an equity point of view.
Oh, there's very little in it. I agree, but there is a difference, isn't there? Yeah.
I think anything less than 0.01, lads, is the same. Like I would.
For me, Sean,
Of course, Kevin. Yeah.
the most difficult thing is to get your back checkers motoring and getting them out, because they've got a long way to go. So splitting has always been my preference, because then you can anchor on the 2021, maybe get out. You've got more flexibility in your back checkers, and you brought one down 13-11. So you've got best of every world. 6-5 is a big play. If it works, you're in business.
I think, Kevin, you're right in identifying the advantages of the 24-23 one, but the other one has advantages too, because you unstack the heavy 6-point, you start the 5-point, the one you want to make, and if he doesn't hit it, you're probably going to make the 5-point. But for the purposes of this, they're identical. It's a matter of style. You can play either one. But so my question is, Black rolls for Black has the opening.
I split.
Okay.
Stack.
So now you prefer to split?
Yeah.
Okay. Now your chance of being hit if you slot hasn't changed. Your chance of being hit, because it hasn't changed. So I'm just saying that. But you prefer to split now?
Yeah. I'm more worried about him blocking me in if I don't split.
Yes,
There's
and
another
he's stripped
point.
the 8-point.
If a next roll for the Black will be 5-5, that is a crucial for White.
The correct answer, guys.
After that immediate double from Black, and then you gotta probably drop. I don't know. Even it's an early game. It's very, very hard to see that. I don't know if that would be a question actually more than
I wouldn't be worried about just one roll. I think I think what you do now is you do split, and there are two reasons. One, as you said, is you're worried about getting locked in because he's made the 4-point, and also if you slot and you're hit, it's more difficult for you to enter because Black has made 2 points instead of 1. And that's a good example of, even though only one roll has happened, if you were an automatic slotter that you always slotted, you need to change your play just on black making 4-2. Now you shouldn't slot because you're getting blocked in, which we identified. And also, if your slotted checker is hit, it's more difficult for you to enter. So it's just a good example of checker plays are not always automatic. So how do we play 4-3, guys? So new position, white's on roll, opening roll. How do people play 4-3?
My usual would be 1-4 and 13-9.
Yeah.
That gives me chances to
Yeah.
cover my 5 point.
Yeah,
On 5 point, and then
that's one way. There's no right way here. There's 3.
24, 21, 13, 9.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. Anyone bring 2 down?
Yep, 2 down from the mid.
If I'm losing by a
Yeah.
lot, yeah.
2 down is fine.
2 down is fine. Yeah, 10-9 or like 5 and 4. I mean from the
Go to
5.
the 5. Go to the 5.
5th point. Go to
Yeah.
the 5 and 4 from yeah. That would be no. I still will play my
So
in any situation. I play always that one.
the three plays are identical. Okay, so 2 downs an attacking play, splitting to the 20 point or the 21 point, slightly more defensive, but they're all identical. So absolutely fine. No difficulty there. Okay, black has opened 4-3, and black has brought 2 down. Now, how do you play your 4-3?
2
Same
down.
way, 2 down from the mid.
Yeah, 2 down.
Anyone split?
I would split still.
Danger there is you're walking into 10 checkers and a blitz potential if you split.
And I think, Andre, you've hit exactly on the point I'm trying to cover. I always split 4-3. And I'm so used to splitting 4-3 that even if my opponent brings 2 down with 4-3, I used to split. It's now a mistake to split. It's half a blunder to split. When your opponent brings 2 down, you should just match him and bring 2 down. So when black opens with those 2, it's a bad mistake. Sorry, not a bad mistake, but it's a sizable error to just split. So what you do in the opening, if your opponent brings 2 down in the opening, you mirror what your opponent does. I think, Kevin, as you said it, don't walk into the army of checkers that are in front of you. And
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes,
And
great. Yeah.
that's a point that's well worth learning, because you get so used to with your splits of 4-3, and I always split, that I found it hard to stop doing that when the threat wasn't obvious. But the threat is sort of maybe a bit obvious. So it's now, a 0.04, which is nearly half a blunder to split. So you just match what your opponent has done. So
Okay.
adjusting our checker play due to the match score. And it's 0-all to 11. You opened 4-1, fine. Black played 3-2 and made the 8 point. You now have 4-3 to play as white. You can make your 5 point or his 5 point. Anyone have any preference?
I will make my 5 points.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
It's more offensive.
It doesn't matter at this score, 0-all. They're both, just to say, they're identical. So that the analysis is the same effectively.
Sometimes I like to make his 5 points so I can just forget about them checkers for a while and concentrate on an attack then.
Okay. If you're 6-0 up as white, what would you do?
Make the 20.
I still cover my fifth point.
Okay.
I still play that because there is nothing to worry about. Like nothing worries for my
Okay.
my checkers in the opponent's home board. Nothing
Okay.
worries me. But what worries me is what I will make sure I will have defend well before
Okay.
and plus the attack. So I will definitely my home 5-point board. It's both hands up for that from my point
Okay.
of view.
So if black is leading 6-0, what would you do?
Still cover my home board.
Make the 5, yeah. This time.
Okay. So I think you do change play. And it's about half a blunder not to change your play. So if you're leading 6-0 as white, what you don't want to happen is your opponent to get 4 points. So you make his 5 point. If you're losing 6-0, you need to get 4 points. So you make your 5 point and go for gammons. It's half a blunder not to. Now, this is only the second roll of the match. And the match score has completely changed our play. And half a blunder not to. If you're winning, you protect your lead. You make sure he doesn't get 4 points. So protecting your lead is absolutely fine. You make the 20, his 5 point. You sort of make his 5 points. But where you need gammons, where you're 6-0 down, you make the offensive play. So quite a difference. You know, that's, yeah, a little bit over half a blunder where white is 6-0 ahead. White now protects his lead. But next one, where black is 6-0 ahead, white makes the offensive play. So it's only the second roll of the game, but you're making quite big decisions. And it's just, again, we could often have this preference of, well, I'll make his 5 points, so I'll always be safe and I'll just see what happens next. You need to be flexible enough to change your play very, very quickly, depending on the match score. So again, checker plays are not automatic. So guys, a toughie coming up. This is a toughie. You might have, some of you might be saying, where was the easy one? But this is, how do you play 6-2? Opening roll, 0-all to 11, 6-2. Again, no real right answer, but how do people tend to play it?
Split.
Split.
So
Yeah. You come to
24,
18 is it?
13, 11.
Yeah.
Usually split. Always
Usually split.
Usually split. Yeah.
Anyone
6-2 you have.
anyone run all the way?
Only on DMP.
Okay.
I don't like to do that. It's like, no,
Okay.
split better. Or maybe the 13-5 if you.
Okay. Or 13-5, well, which is a very close one. So there's the machine. The machine is saying they're all pretty level. The 3 we got the top 3. So 6-2, I tend to split. I just like those splits, yeah. Running isn't too bad, guys. And 13-5, again, not too bad, pretty close. So now you don't have the opening roll, and black has rolled 5-5. So I would just want you to visualize that. Black has rolled 5-5, and we sort of know what black's going to do. Going to make the 3 point. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only play actually.
Right. Now you
Only
roll
good play.
Now, how do you play 6-2?
Run.
So you go to the 16 point, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one answer. Any more?
No, I would slot the.
I will split 6-2.
You'll
I will still split.
Now you'll split, still split, yeah.
24-18, 13-11 again.
Okay, so that's the split, yeah. So we've got a couple of still splittings and we've got one run. Anything else? Okay.
That's about it.
So there's good news and bad news. The bad news is there's no good news. So they're all blunders.
Oh.
So
Yeah, you can't split against that setup.
coming off the 24 point is a blunder. Black's structure has completely changed, and Black's game plan has changed. Black now wants to start hitting you. Black is a poor inner board. You're not worried about getting stuck behind Black. Black has made a deep point, and Black knows it. So what Black wants to do here is start hitting you, because that way he can at least start using his checkers on the 6 point. So I was surprised by the size of the difference. All of a sudden, it's now a blunder to come off the 24 point. So it's only the second roll in the game. I think we'd all very often we're so used to playing our 6-2 one way, we're gonna, and as someone said, now I'm going to run, and that might have been my inclination a little bit as well. But if you look at the game plans which are going to roll out in front of you, Black's game plan is to start hitting you, and you're not worried if you stay back on the 24 point. So in fact, the slot of the 5 point. Now, and I'm not trying to catch people out with this, but it's more how I think very often we tend to put on our thinking caps a little bit later in the game, after we've made a couple of rolls. Well, this is only your this is only your first roll, and your thinking cap needed to be on very quickly. So guys, this is just so all I'm saying is checker plays, even when you think they're automatic, maybe they're not that automatic. So it's just to pause and to think about that, because like a blunder on your first roll, and I think we sort of all made a blunder there almost, is, well worth thinking about.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah.
Would it be the same after a 5-3 opening? Because like double 5 opening is a bit unlikely.
That's a good question. It wouldn't be all as clear. I think Black is much more committed with the double 5. He's taken those 2 checkers off off his midpoint and stuff. No, I absolutely not. I'd be able to quantify it, but absolutely not. Black is if you look, he's still got 5 checkers on his 6 point. I mean, that's just awful. Whereas with 5-3, he's only got 4 there, and so his structure is not as stark, and it's not as committal, for Black. So not at all. I think, I guessed at 6-2 splitting or running are both probably fine. I don't think I think they're both fine. Yeah, that's my guess. Okay, so
John, your guess is correct. I rolled it out.
Very good.
24, 18, 13, 11 is slightly better than 13, 5.
Thanks, Brendan. But
so the correct play would be 24, 16, or
after 5-3, I think what we're saying is it doesn't really matter. You can play either. You could run all the way, or you can play 6-2 split.
Oh, after. Okay.
Small differences we won't agonize over, but big ones like a blunder, I think we will. So guys, all I'm saying is, even very close to the opening, when we don't almost put on our thinking caps, because we know how we play 4-3, we split, or we know how we play 6-2, and we almost then wait for a few rolls before we start thinking hard. I think you need to start thinking before that even. So that's just as a tip. And the last one is simply, guys, just a recap of what I think the resources available to us all are. If there are any more, let us know. So here we go. I think anyone playing with a PR of 6, 5, 4 is using XG.
Yeah.
It's like having a mentor on your shoulder beside you. It's very cheap, €50 once off. I think it's a bit boring playing the computer myself, but if you download your matches and analyze them, and you can download them from Heroes, download them from Galaxy. You can just play a match against someone on Grid Gammon and download it and look at your big blunders. And also, if you want to construct reference positions, it's just so easy. So I think if you want to try to improve at the game, an investment of €50, like, it shouldn't even be close. Like, it wouldn't. I think if someone told me that they wanted to play at 7, but they won't use Snowy Snowy in the old days, or Jellyfish, or GNU, or XG, it wouldn't make sense to me. So, look, it seems obvious. Anyone? Has everyone got XG, or nobody? Or what's that? Give us a anyone? General.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a XG. Yeah,
Yes.
I got a XG.
Right.
I've never used XG. I use GNU BG for analyzing positions.
Yeah.
I haven't used either. Well, yeah, I don't have it yet.
Okay.
I
Well,
haven't got it. A Mac.
yeah.
You, you can't run it on a Mac under Wine. I think we've talked about it before, more.
Yeah. You have to only in some of the operating systems you can do it. Not in the one I've got. I've looked into that recently, but
Sorry, you can put it on a Mac, can you?
If you put it under Wine, it should work. So Wine's a Windows emulator on Mac.
it's only in the older operating systems. I might have to get an older operating system on the computer as well. I think you can run 2 anyway in Mac.
You should be able to run side VirtualBox or something.
But look, I have it on my iPhone. So, guys, look. All I say is there's no excuse, right?
Just to give you a small update on that, Sean. If you're on Android, XG Mobile is broken currently. I was testing. We were talking. It's waiting an update for a while. Just letting you know.
Get an iPhone instead. That's
So there's
I'm on a commission from Apple.
XG3 is due out this year,
Okay.
the new one.
Look,
I don't know.
isn't it just great?
That's why they're updating it then.
Yes. Okay, look, that's the biggest tip, because if you're in any way serious and you've made a bad mistake and you're looking at it and trying to figure something out, you just put it into XG and then you start playing around with the position a little bit, or the match score a little bit, or where the cube is a little bit, and you can understand the position very quickly. Because when you move some of the variables, you can see what really makes a difference. So, like, it's in the old days, you might meet, I suppose, once a week and have a couple of games which are friends or something, and it was very hard to get good. Now you can get good, like, to be honest, you can get good in 6 to 12 months if you just go bad and just, so XG is the biz. Number 2. There are 2 sites which I think are predominant now. I suppose Grid Gammon used to be the site, but now I think these 2 have probably taken over a fair bit. So Heroes, which we're all playing on in the Irish Online Championship, I think Heroes is very good. I think there's lots of facilities which are very good. It gives you can review your match on Heroes. I think the ply is a little bit low, but it's still good analysis, and so Heroes is fine. It's a good resource, and we're all on Heroes, so I suppose I'm speaking to the converted. I think Galaxy is very good too, and I think the center of gravity might be shifting a little bit to Galaxy. But look, Heroes good, Galaxy good, both very good. I like Galaxy a little bit because if you play better than your opponent, you don't lose any points, even if you lose the match. And if you play better than your opponent and you win the match, you get rating points. So as a rating system, it's a better system I think you reach your true rating and you hover around your true rating for longer on Galaxy. So
Yeah, I agree with that, Sean.
yeah, I think Galaxy is a very good system. All the top players, you can see them on it, and you know it's you know, I think once you get used to that feature of your rating doesn't go down if you play better, it actually instills a discipline that when I'm losing the match 6-0 to 7, I'm still playing very, very, very competitively, because if my PR is better in that match, I lose no rating points. And that discipline of I'm 10-0 down to 11, I just start doing stupid things. It actually, it makes you play in a very even, disciplined, temperament way, because the vagaries of the dice are much less relevant, because you know if I play better than my opponent, I lose no rating points. So I think it's a very useful discipline that way of having a rating, that method is very good for your discipline and your temperament. So look, if you haven't tried Galaxy, I'd recommend it. You've all tried Heroes. It's very good too. So look, I'm not...
Can I just say there's another huge advantage to Galaxy. If I go on to Galaxy now, I'll have a match within a minute or two. If I go on to Heroes without having arranged to play somebody, I'd be farting around for fucking ages. I'd be inviting people, getting no responses. Then I invite somebody else and they say, "Oh, he's not available to play."
And then they dump you, and like in the middle of the game, and you have this. When you have five unfinished matches on Heroes, then you cannot play at all.
So it's very clear
like that. There is a penalty points.
People should only be playing Heroes for tournaments. And other than that, and Sean laid out the advantages in terms of actual improving. I mean, I certainly find that, you know, you lose a match on Galaxy, and then you're sitting waiting for the real result is how well did I play? Yes. And if you lose a match and then suddenly you play very well, you're delighted with yourself. You know? Good. Particularly if you don't lose points. And of course, the opposite's a little bit true. So absolutely, people should switch from Heroes to Galaxy for playing ordinary matches. Obviously, Heroes is fantastic for tournaments. And
very good. Yeah. Now, I'm conscious of time. Guys, look, if you read the books, they're good books. I recommended Paul McGreal's. Look, Mitchie's books are excellent. Walter Troy's Backgammon Boot Camp, Cube Like a Boss, Mark Olson. Zivka, Mr. Zivka is coming out with a book shortly. He's the top of Galaxy. I think Dirk Sheeman is coming out with a book shortly. Roberti has some very good books. Look, they're all good. You know, they're hard to absorb. Look, I'm just saying, you want to improve, look, read some books. You buy a book, get your friend to buy a book, swap them. Other resources, look, the Federation is going to be great. It is great. It's going to be great. It's coordinating a lot of stuff. I think in the UK Backgammon Federation was a real catalyst for the game in the country. There were very good players there, but I think the Federation really, really accelerated the good things that were happening in the UK. So I think our own committee and our own federation is going to do great. There's lots of tournaments. They're great. Well done to the people who put them on. Look, it's good to support them. If anyone wants tuition from a Grandmaster, it is available. So the UK, go to say it's £50 an hour or something like that. Look, it's a good thing. If you can afford it, if you have lots of money, if you want to do it, do it. There's also a thing called the BMAB where you can sort of really get an international rating. So this is where they will assess your matches under, you know, tournament conditions. They don't take online stuff because they think there could be some cheating. Someone could be using a computer in the background. So generally, they want you to turn up and play some games, and they will analyze your games and give you a rating. It's recognized internationally. So it's like a chess FIDE rating. You can go and get it. Again, it's just another good thing. So a lot of good things, a lot of resources available. We're gone 9 o'clock. They're my tips. You had 7. Take decisions, couple of things. Watch out for gammons. Automatic checker plays. Oh, just be careful. It's just too easy not to, that you make automatic ones. And available resources. Look, there are lots, and people, everyone's very happy to help everyone else. I think a rising tide lifts all boats. I want to say thank you to the Federation for the opportunity to do these workshops. That's it. I haven't disappeared, but you won't be seeing much of me. Brendan, would you like to give us a teaser for next week? I think I'm in Austria, by the way, but this is your opportunity to.
I think they have the internet. I think they have the internet in Austria, Sean.
Yeah, my wife won't let me. My wife won't let me near the computer.
So when Rich asked me what I was going to do, I said what I'll do is how to win more 5-point matches. So the cube play changes quite a bit on 5-point matches. And so I said, that's what I'll do. And then by complete coincidence, there was a masterclass series over the last couple of days, and Doug Scheiman gave a talk on cube action in 5-point matches. So my head was fried after that. That was an hour of intense work followed by an hour of an intense quiz. And that. So I'm going to try and distill my wisdom from before that with a little bit of added stuff from Dirk Scheiman's talk yesterday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Rich an email with a short quiz. It'll actually be, I think, only one position, and then just get your assessment whether it's a double or a take or a drop or a no double for each different match score. And then we'll go through those positions, and that'll really be it. The last one then, the next session after that, which I think is the last of this series, I think I'd like to go through a match and go through some of those points that Sean raised. But I'm very open. If somebody wants to, another way might be if people wanted to send in positions that they had looked at and they found interesting or difficult to understand why, they could send me those positions, and maybe Sean and I would discuss them. Or sorry, we'd all discuss them. That might be a way to do it. So I'm not sure exactly the week after next, but next week, how to win more 5-point matches.
Okay.
That's a very good note. Excellent, excellent. Okay.
Can I say a big thank you to Sean today, because it's your last one. I just feel myself, it's so great to have the space to talk about the theory of backgammon. We tend not to do it in the pubs or in a tournament. We're just too busy to do that. So it's just great that, you know, the time.
Gonna miss you, Sean. We need more. Come back after Austria and do it again.
Well, I think all the people who have been beating me in the Irish online, I see Kevin there, like, just, you should be giving, and Jamie yourself, everyone's just beating me. So look, I'm going to start putting bad tips into the system, I think. So could you go on me, lads? Okay, good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks a mil.
Thank you very much indeed.